Hello everyone, it's Panzer and welcome back to another Panzerkampf video. Today I wanted to make a short little video, just discussing some of the things that I'd like to see added into Panzerkampf in the near future. I'm just going to be throwing out some random ideas, and yeah, let's jump straight into it. So the first point on my list is one I mentioned a few videos ago, and I made the point that the acceleration period of the tanks in Panzerkampf is far too short. So let's take the KV2 on screen, for example. That has about a top speed of 23 to 24 kilometers an hour, and that is on flat terrain. This tank can reach that top speed within 2 seconds. I actually timed it just at the start of the battle from a standstill until the top speed, and yeah, it averaged out at about 2 seconds. Now in update 0.3, the tank speed, and that applied to I think every single tank in the game. The tank speed was actually reduced by 20%. So it was a massive reduction. And what it allowed for is for the battles to be slowed down a bit, games to be a little bit longer, so prevented a little bit of those turbo battles that we see in the likes of World of Tanks, where the game finishes in about 3 minutes because your team gets stomped, because you have all medium tanks rushing in, light tanks, fast heavies, blah, blah, blah. But because Panzerkampf is taking a historical approach to their game, I think it would be very nice to see the tanks kind of slow down in pace, giving a more weighty feeling, but a bit more of a gritty feeling that kind of contrasts the other arcadey tank games that are out there on the market. So my second point is, once the German tank destroyers tree has been finished, I personally would like to see the introduction of a British tech tree or British tank line in the game. Going back to Armored Aces, and God bless that game, absolutely just a fun mobile game. They have the British tanks in there, and it starts with the Tetrarch and ends with the Comet. Now I think that would be a very reasonable line to add into the game. It would be mainly consisting of heavy and medium tanks, as that's what the British really developed throughout the course of World War II. Maybe the tank line from Armored Aces would need some slight alterations, as at tier 6 would be the Black Prince. So could you imagine using your Panzer IV against the Black Prince? I don't think that would be a very fair matchup, to be honest with you. But the Comet was at tier 8 in the game, because that was the max tier for World War II tanks in Armored Aces, was tier 8. But instead of it ending at the Comet, maybe they could add in the Centurion Mark 1, as that was developed at the end of World War II. It would be historically accurate for the time. And yeah, it would have to have a significantly, higher speed over its the German counterpart at tier 9, which is the King Tiger and the Jag Tiger. But the Comet would actually be a very good adversary for the Jag Tiger, which will be introduced in the Steam update. Because number one, the Jag Tiger doesn't have a turret. It will be extremely slow, going off of the speed of other tanks in the game. So yeah, the Comet would be a very good adversary for it, because you would be able to launch flanking attacks on it. So that would be a very good starting point for the British tree. And by the way, I just said Comet versus the Jag Tiger. I meant Centurion, so apologies for the mistake there. But yeah, British tanks would be, I think, a very welcome thing in Panzerkampf. So the third point I wanted to talk about is a realistic mode. Now, I've heard some discussions in the general chat in the Panzerkampf Discord about this. And these talks involve removing the names, which you can see above this tank right in front of me. Completely removing the names off the screen, and basically you'll have to figure out where the tanks are on the map in accordance with their corresponding dots on the map, which show their positions. I personally think this should be taken one step further. So they plan to implement these veteran battles, is what they call them, at tiers 8 and 9. I definitely think this is a good idea. But yeah, as I was saying, I'd like to see this taken one step further, and maybe instead of still revealing the positions of enemy vehicles on the map, what they could do instead is completely remove that and add in a spotting mechanic to tiers 8 and 9 for when they're versing each other. And potentially, if you spot a tank, then, I don't know, let's just say you spot a tank using your binoculars, and then they appear on the map, like in War Thunder, for a few seconds, and then they can disappear. So maybe because of the nature and the smaller maps of Panzerkampf, maybe it could highlight them on the map for you and your allies for about 10 seconds, and then they could disappear, just so you can keep that element of mysteriousness and the high alert levels that you want in a war game. And obviously, if your teammate was to spot an enemy vehicle, the dot should only be visible to you when it's within your view range as well. But yeah, I think this would be quite a nice feature to have, these veteran battles, and I look forward to seeing whichever version is implemented in the future. And the final thing that I'd wish to see in Panzerkampf is only a small little feature, and it would be camouflage. Now, I know we've got camouflages which are available to purchase for real money within the store. However, these are special 3D camouflages. What I mean is just standard 2D camouflages, which are historically accurate. That's all I'm asking for, nothing more, nothing less. And no Fortnite skins or tank skins that you can find in World of Tanks, which make your Tog look like a hot dog.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
And that's all the points I wanted to discuss in the video. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching the video. As always, I've been Panzerkampf, and I will see you in the next one.